Gentlemen, if you would please bow your heads. Gracious Lord, thank you for bringing us here this evening, and thank you for all that you are doing in our lives. The recovery with hurricanes, the recovery with earthquakes, and the recovery from illnesses. We praise you, Lord, and thank you for all of your help. As we come together tonight, help us to discern your will. And please, Lord, give us the wisdom to know your will. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Calling the special board meeting to order for this Thursday evening, September 9th. The time is technically 5:02. Welcome, citizens of Clay County. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend this school board meeting. This meeting is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. If you wish to address the board on an agenda item, there will be an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Please fill out a card, which you will find located in the back of the room, indicating the specified item number or topic you wish to speak about, and turn it promptly. Your participation is welcomed and always appreciated. We're going to be starting this evening with the superintendent's annual financial report and annual cost report for fiscal year ending 6/30/2021. And all we need is a motion for that. Thank you. I will accept a motion for approval.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Ms. Gilhausen has moved approval. Ms. Kierkes has seconded. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, I will take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 5-0. Okay. Next, we're going to review the 2021-2022 final millage rollback rate calculation and the 2021-2022 budget. Dr. Legutko. It's always good to see you at these meetings, Dr. Legutko. Thank you for being here this evening.
It's always a pleasure being here. Thank you. Okay. All right. All right. This is the final stages of our trim requirements. It is the approval of our final or our millage rates, our millage levy, and our final budget for the 21-22 school year. So with that, I'm going to begin. Okay, is this thing, I'm not sure that this works. I'm hitting buttons. What? Really? No, it's not working. Did I turn it on? Oh, I'm using the wrong side. Well, let's see. Now try. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. The screen.
This one.
Excitement just to get this working. Okay. Okay, like I said, we are at the final stages of our adopting our budget. And you can see the timeline, the public hearing to approve the final budget, which is today. I'll wait. There we go. All right, next. Okay. Of course, nothing has changed. Well, there have been a few changes, but as it relates to the proposed millage levy, nothing has really changed from the last presentation that I did, which we presented what our tentative millage levy was going to be. As you can see, the required local effort was 3.527, basic discretionary 0.748, capital outlay 1.50. The additional voted millage is 1.00. Total millage is 6.775, which will generate approximately $97,517,605. That millage rate, of course, is 2.50% above the rollback rate. We'll go into the rollback rate in a minute. Okay. Like the last presentation, this is a summary of a comparison of last year's millage rates and the revenue generated compared to what is proposed for the upcoming year, which again, it's 6.775 total millage, which will generate approximately $97,517,605. What that means, though, for our local taxpayer is, again, if your property value stayed the same, which we know it didn't, obviously property values have gone up, but had it stayed the same, and we applied the total millage rate of 6.775, that would the taxpayer will experience a reduction of $11.40. However, because your property value went up, that value, obviously you had a tax increase, okay, because of the value of the property. With that being said, we'll go to the next. What is the rollback rate? All right, like I said, the proposed current rate is 6.7750. The actual rollback rate is 6.6096. That is a difference of 0.1654. When you do the calculation, what percentage of the 6.7750, the current rate, represent in percentage over the rollback rate? That represents 2.50%. So with that, because it was higher than the rollback rate, we have, per trim, we are required to advertise a tax increase. Okay, so with that being said, what was advertised in the newspaper, as you can see, I'm sorry, this thing is echoing, is the tentative budget, and that is what was advertised in the newspaper. It was a total of 520, 446, 655, 656. That is your total budget. That is the very number on the very far right, very bottom. This budget represents all our funding source: general fund, special revenue, debt service, capital projects, giving us a total fund of 520, 446, 656. Okay. Now, what has changed from the time we actually advertised that budget to what it is right now? The revised budget, of course, the millage stayed the same, but the revised budget is now $526,803,319. So it did increase somewhat, and I'll go over those changes for you. The primary changes, though, were the general fund, special revenue. Well, actually, they were all the funds, but the major changes were in the general fund and the special revenue fund. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go over those changes. As you can see, for the general fund, we started off with $371,072,130. We ended up with a budget of $371,408,021, an increase of about $335,891. Not significant enough, but it did increase somewhat. And the impact to that was due to the ending of our closing of our last year. Of course, you, at the beginning of this meeting, you actually approved last year's AFR, the annual financial report. It gives you a detailed of how we actually spent each of these funds, both in general, federal, capital outlay, debt service, and even our self-insurance fund. So if you get an opportunity, peruse through that spreadsheet and see how interesting it is. But because of that, we ended up with a different fund balance from what I actually said to you at the tentative hearings. So the impact is roll forward adjustments that we had, and of course our prior year ending fund balance. So, and with that, we go into the special revenue. As you can see, the special revenue is the largest of the increase. It's about $5.4 million. We started off with $48,343,262. The final ended up $53,755,455. The change represents,
Go ahead.
the ESSER 2 funds. It was about $4 million. That was the advanced lump sum. So as a result of that, we increased the budget by that much. It was $5.4 million total. The $4 million was ESSER funds. And then when we did the original budget, typically when I bring the special revenue funds, such as Title I, Title II, Title III, those funds have not been approved by the Department of Education as of that time. So what I do have to present to the board is exactly how much we're actually going to spend in salaries and benefits, because we're rolling those salaries over to the new year. So I know for a fact that that's how much I am going to spend for salaries and benefits. Once I receive the award notification from the Department of Education, that is when I adjust it to what the actual allocation is going to be. And the differences are primarily, the supplies or different things that's written in the application. Once it's submitted, it gets approved. The Department of Education sends me an award notification, then we are required to adjust the budget according to those numbers. So that's the difference in the 5.4 million, the difference between the ESSER 2 and the 5.4.
All right. Could you explain in the estimated and then the revised under special revenue, the federal sources was 40 million, it's now 19, and the state was 145,000, and it's now 27. Explain those numbers to me.
Okay.
Or to us.
Okay. So yes, the 40 million and 19. If you'll notice that the 19 million is federal. Before, when we submitted it, we lumped it all in. ESSER, everything was lumped into that $40 million.
That's a 21 million difference. And then the state is, 23 million, 24 million difference. So it just seems odd to me that you had it as 40 million and then 145,000 for the state, and now it's 19 million and 27 million. Those are big jumps.
Right, because the state source at the time, we thought the ESSER funds are actually federal through state. It's coming through the Department of Education. At the time when we did it, we thought it was just straight federal.
Okay.
So we lumped it into the federal source. Now that we know exactly what the CFDA numbers are and what the revenue source is coming from, we are required to budget it in the state. It's federal through state.
Okay.
So, and the state then rolls it down to us. So that's the difference between those two.
All right. Well,
it's just a matter of classification.
Very, very confusing to
I know.
be presented one way and then a month later. Those are big changes.
Trust me, during the year, things change. 1 minute, we could say whatever the information that's presented to us, we interpret what it should be. And then, of course, and this could change again. Once I upload this up to the state, they can say, no, we want you to roll it into this revenue source instead.
Okay.
And they could change that for us. The AFR, the document that you approved at the very beginning, that is really the true actual of everything. So if those are the true values of where we are to report final expenditures. Everything now is just a what if. Tentatively, this is what we think it might be.
Right.
Once we get the actual, then we report it in that manner.
And I understand that. I'm just questioning why the federal and state numbers
Right.
change so much. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. All right, so now let's go into the debt service. As you know, debt service is our COPS and our debt that we typically pay annually. Nothing really changed that significantly other than final payments of our debt. Administrative fees that were attached to it. DOE, CONDS is one of the things that we actually report, but it's more of an estimate at the very beginning. And at the end of the year, the state actually sends us a notification, the journal entries that are required for us to report the amount for the CONDS. It's not significant from what we estimate, but it is somewhat of a change. As you can see, it's about $31,000 difference. So it just depends on, interest rates and things like that from a state perspective. Okay? And then, of course, capital projects, it went from 93.5 to 94.082. It's the same concept as the general fund. It was prior year ending fund balance. And, of course, our roll forward adjustments that made the difference of about $577,493. So a total of $6.4 million adjustment. So it went from $520,446,656 to about $526,803,309. And those are the changes that occurred within the budget from the time we did our tentative budget to now our final budget. And again, as you know, throughout the year, I bring you the budget amendments, I bring you the financial statements. So things change. We'll get increased revenue, we may get reduced revenue. It just depends on what happens during the year, okay? And finally, it's not finally, but it's the best slide ever. No, it's our fund balance. Where did we end up last year and where we are proposed to end up in the future at the end of this year. Last year, of course, we ended up with an unaudited fund balance of unreserved of 5.20. As you can see, it went from a 4.97 to 5.20. So we ended up pretty good. I mean, especially with what we experienced last year. So financially sound at the end of the year.
Okay, I have a comment about this slide too, sorry. 2011, normally when you show the fund balance slide, there's usually a notation there that, and I can't remember the number, was it $9 million? That was teacher raises, teacher salary that the governor gave, but it went in, and it was put in the fund balance. That gives the impression that we spent a lot of money from 11 to 12, which we did not. So I think that should really reflect that. I can't remember the number. Does anybody you remember the number? Was it 9 million? 9 million was the money from the governor, the teachers. Was it Senate Bill 6 at the time? I'm trying to remember.
I'm not sure if it's in this one. I don't know if it was in.
Because our fund balance really probably was only at about 12 million at that time.
Yeah, I have it right here. It was the federal jobs funding money. It was $5 million. The total is 7.44. What's there, and out of that was $5 million. That was part of the jobs money.
So that has always been reflected in our fund balance whenever it's printed to show the community that we didn't just go through that money. So I would like that as a permanent thing whenever it's 20 years from now when you show it, show that that's what that money was, because it wasn't part of our fund balance.
Right.
It was just parked there.
That's correct, it was. And I will. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So for next year, we're projecting about a 5.05, staying with the 5%. We're hoping that we will end up with about the 16.2 million in unreserved. The rest of it, when you look at the actual ESE 139, which is attached, the actual budget that's submitted to the Department of Education is also attached, is included in the agenda, where it's a very long, looks like but I didn't print it out. It's part of the agenda, and this will be transmitted to the Department of Education. And when you look through it, the page 3, it is it's the first item, and there were several attachments. It's called the ESE 139. Well, when you look at that, page 3, you'll see the breakdown of the fund balance and what it represents. There are several things within it that represents the $34.9 million of our fund balance. But what I'm showing you here is the unreserved fund balance, not the total fund balance. Yes. Oh, yes, it did. Okay. That is the end of my presentation. I believe Bryce is up next before we actually open and close the floor for the public hearing. Oh, and follow the steps to finalize our trim process.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Bryce is going to do it first. Got it. Thank you. What's that? What was on here?
Okay, so I just wanted to speak to the capital projects portion. Nothing substantive has changed in any of the planning or transportation part, but we'll just go through this. The projected revenue from the last time, from the tentative to the final, is the same as it was before. I did want to point out that our half-cent sales tax, we are on track to receive the $14 million. Right now, we've received $7.2 million to date. Just wanted to share that. That's good news. Our district capital outlay expenditures, nothing has changed from the tentative to the final. That is all the same there. I didn't know if you guys had any questions on that from the previous meeting. So what has changed from tentative to final? It's mostly in the projects. We had some of the projects at the top of the list that were carryover projects that weren't complete at the time of the last meeting. Some of those projects have been complete, and we had some monies in those projects for contingencies, anything that might have come up at the end of projects to kind of finish those out. So we were able to close those projects out and then use that money elsewhere on the project sheet. So that's what changed, just some completions and then the project budget increases and or adjustments because those projects closed out, we had the extra money. And then we did add some projects or move some forward, and those were some restroom renovations, exterior lighting upgrades, HVAC replacements, and security camera jobs. If you had any specific questions on the project list, I'd be happy to answer any of those. Any questions on the projects? Nope. Okay. And then I just wanted to take the opportunity to kind of show the projects that we have done. I shared some last time. These ones are different from the last time. Again, with the theme of our single point of entry. These were some of our more complicated jobs. Orange Park Junior is at the top, and I mean, I don't even know if you can recognize it. You try to picture walking in there. But you have, the reception behind the glass, and then you have to be buzzed in to get on campus. Same thing with Lakeside Junior. The approach coming up, that one was really difficult because the front office faces the center courtyard there, and the parking's off to the side. And back in the 70s, it was kind of to have an open campus was the design. And so now all that has changed. So that one was kind of tricky. So you can see the approach on the left there. The campus is all fenced in, but you're able to get to the front office. The center picture there is coming into that front office, and then you have to be buzzed back to get back into the offices and then anywhere else on campus.
I have a question about
Yes.
the entries. Mr. Brodsky, we talked about it when we were at Coppergate the other day. The complaint seems to be they can't hear through the glass.
Yes.
So I had mentioned maybe putting a microphone outside each one that they can just push the button, just a suggestion, but have we come up with a remedy for that?
We've looked into it. Some of them are very costly. They do have the ones like at the banks that or even sporting events with kind of the slats in it, so you have a place to speak into it. That might be a cheaper option.
Will that affect the structure of the glass, though?
No, I mean, we can do it. It wouldn't be a problem. It would have to be after the fact, though, but we can look into doing that. I know some people don't. You gotta bend down.
We need to do something because, and some of them were low. So
right.
It would be really,
Right.
That,
and then you're
seems
wearing
to be the
masks now,
complaint.
too, so
Right.
it does.
Right.
Yeah, we'll come up with a solution for that. But yeah, that is a problem now that we've done it.
So how expensive were microphones?
The microphones, I mean, for a quality, it was like $800 for one. Wow. And that was, it was where you touch it, and I mean, the bad thing with doing the electronic devices like that is it's more stuff for our maintenance department to take care of. So we kind of like to stay away from those if we can.
I'm just worried if we're cutting into the glass, are we going to, I mean, there's a reason we're using it, so we don't really.
Right, but I mean, there's ways around that.
Right.
And we're still researching those options, but we'll figure something out.
Well, keep us updated because
We
it
will.
is something that we've gotten complaints about. Thank you.
Okay. This was just some more examples of the single point of entry. There's Clay High at the top. Again, it's kind of hard to recognize. You come in now, there's all the fencing along the front, and it leads you into the left side door. If you're used to going there, I always went in on the right side. Now you have to go on the left side, and it leads you into that lobby area. And then Montclair is at the bottom, which was another tricky one. But again, you're able to go in, and you can't leave that lobby unless you're going to go out the front door or be buzzed into campus. And then this was a fun project. This is Clay High. They were the last high school to have, they had the old rubber flooring that was in there, and they had seams in it, and those were starting to come up and tear and create a problem. So we were finally able to replace the gym floor there, and it turned out really nice. I don't know if any of you guys have been able to go by there, but it turned out really nice. Kind of what in tandem to that project was, hey, their bleachers broke. So we went to go look at their bleachers, and we're looking at the floor, and we're like, well, we're not going to put new bleachers in on a bad floor. So it kind of all snowballed from there, but it turned out really nice. Just some more of our, I skipped it's not changing. Oh, what'd you do? Well, what did you have to do to get it to go back? Well, I'll talk about this project. This is Tynes Elementary, the classroom wing that is currently in progress there. It was supposed to be complete for the start of the school year. We ran into some problems with the contractor. He actually passed away during the construction, so that was the cause for delay on that. But we've been working with the school, and they've been really good with the schedule, and they're going to move in October. So they'll be ready, and there's 8 classrooms there, new classrooms. This is the Coppergate Dance Studio you guys saw last time at the board meeting, but I did want to give our maintenance department kind of a shout out for doing that. They did a really good job out there, and I think the students and staff are really enjoying that, so that was nice. And then we're trying to get all the elementary schools the covered play areas. Just being in Florida, I mean, you guys all know how hot it is having PE outside. So we were able to complete 3 this year, and I believe there's 4 or 5 elementary schools left that need the covered play areas. And then just a sample of some of the playgrounds, we worked with ESE to replace a playground at Thunderbolt that had been rusted and it was a safety issue. So, and that's something we want to move forward using that same model as a standard at all of our elementary schools. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis.
Okay.
At this point, I'm going to open the public hearing for comments on the 2021-2022 budget millages. Comments? If you'd like to make a comment, you need to come to the podium, please. And as you know, name and address would be helpful.
I just want to give a shout out to Bryce. She's been amazing. All the issues, I'm emailing her all the time.
Tell us who you are.
Oh, I'm Vicki Kidwell. My
Thank
address
you.
is on file. And also ask for a copy of the AFR, please, and the budget. As soon as you get that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments in the public hearing? Not hearing any further comments, I'm going to close the public hearing. And I will accept a motion to adopt the 2021-2022 required local effort millage levy.
I move that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 final proposed required local effort mill levy of 3.527 with a proposed amount to be raised of $50,766,730. The RLE millage includes basic RLE of 3.521 and a prior period adjustment millage of 0.006.
It's
second.
been-
Sorry.
Yep, that's okay. It's been moved by Ms. Gilhousen and seconded by Ms. Bullock. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. At this time, I'll entertain a motion that the Clay County School Board, that the 2021-2022 basic discretionary operating mill levy be adopted.
I move approval that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 final proposed base discretionary millage of .748 with a proposed amount to be raised of $10,766,519.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the 2021-2022 Local Capital Improvement Fund millage levy.
I move that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 final proposed capital outlay millage of 1.500 with the proposed amount to be raised of $21,590,614.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the 2021-2022 additional voted operating millage levy.
I move approval that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 final proposed voted millage of 1.0 with a proposed amount to be raised of $14,393,742.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, 5-0. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the 2021-2022 additional voted operating millage levy.
I move that the Clay County School Board adopt the 2021-2022 final proposed total millage that will equal 6.775 with a total amount to be raised of $97,517,605. The total millage rate to be levied is more than the rollback rate by 2.5%.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. I'll accept a motion to adopt the final 2020-21 final proposed total millage.
I move approval that the Clay County School Board adopt the tentative budget for the 2021-2022 school year as follows. General operating in the amount of $371,408,021. Special revenue budget in the amount of $53,755,455. Debt service budget in the amount of $7,556,891. Capital outlay budget in the amount of $94,082,952 for a total final budget of $526,803,319.
It's been moved by sorry.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Bickner?
I was asking for an emotion.
that was out of order,
I'm sorry.
and it need to adopt the facilities plan first. It's number 9 on the list.
That's where I got it. Thank you. I was looking at it and the two were not jibing.
So Ms. Bullock needs to
So-
withdraw her motion?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question.
Ms. Bullock needs to withdraw her motion?
She needs to withdraw her motion.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
There not being a second, that is, okay. So now, we will adopt the final 2021-2022 to 2025-2026 educational facilities plan.
I'll move approval.
Ms. Karakis has moved approval. Is
I'll
there a
second.
second? Ms. Gilhousen has seconded it. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, I'm sorry, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Bickner, for catching that. Now, I will entertain a motion, since you've practiced once with to adopt.
I'm taking a deep breath again. This is a test,
To
isn't it?
adopt the budget for all funds for 2021-2022.
I move approval that the Clay County School Board adopt the tentative budget for the 2021-2022 school year as follows. General operating in the amount of $371,408,021. Special revenue budget in the amount of $53,755,455. Debt service budget in the amount of $7,556,891. Capital outlay budget in the amount of $94,082,952 for a total final budget of $526,803,319.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. We have adopted a budget. But we are not done.
No, we're not.
I will entertain a motion for the resolution 2203, from the Florida Department of Education resolution determining revenues and millages levied.
I move approval for Resolution 2203, determining the 2021-2022 tentative revenue with millage levied for fiscal year 2021-2022.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'll accept I'll accept a motion to adopt the resolution 2204.
I'll make a motion.
It's on the back of the page. You need to read that.
To approve Resolution 2204, adopting the final 2021-2022 budget.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And it's been seconded by Ms. Gilhausen, moved by Ms. Clark. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. There being no cards, we do not have any public comment cards. Mr. Broski.
Just a quick comment. Just want to send a shout out to Dr. Legutko and her team who do an excellent job. I feel really confident that we're good stewards of the taxpayers' funds, and that's important. And also Bryce and her team for the outstanding work that they do. Thank you.
Mr. Bickner, any comments?
I have none, thank you.
Ms. Clark, any comments? Ms. Kirkus?
Just echo Mr. Broski's compliments of staff, Dr. Legutko and Ms. Ellis. Job well done, thank you.
Ms. Bullock?
I do have just a couple of shout outs. One to a young man at Keystone High School, Connor Mullis, who is a 7th grader, is a entrepreneur. He has set up an egg business. He has chickens, and he's 12 years old. And at the local farmers market in Keystone, he sold his eggs for $5 a dozen. They are very cared for eggs, obviously. But he sold 9 dozen of the 12 he had. So shout out to Connor Mullis, and also to one of our deputies, the deputy at Keystone, Officer Brittany Dorman, assisted in the recent vandalism at Keystone Beach with our Clay County Sheriff's Office in helping to find those little culprits, and so I appreciate that. And then finally, former Keystone Heights High School student Christian Brewy, who is now an anchor on WFTV in Orlando, and he is now following his sister Cassandra in her quest. She is expecting a child, and she has breast cancer. And so they're both graduates of Keystone, and so it's been quite a story, and we should be very proud. We have produced productive citizens, and that's our goal. So thank you to the Brewy family. Thank you.
Ms. Gilhausen?
None from me.
I just have one comment also. The foundation has established the Best of Clay for our graduates. 29 people were nominated for that, and the voting is going on now. So for the month of October, for the month of September, they are voting on, you can go on and literally vote daily for as many as you want. It's not just one. The final review is coming up. The foundation is establishing the number that we will be admitting into that first class of the Best of Clay graduates. And it's pretty exciting. The next Tools for Schools giveaway is October 18th. I will remind you of that at the beginning of the meeting as well. And they're already talking about a possible satellite, so where people can go and pick up materials if they're not able to pick them up at the event that day, and having some of those available. Also echoing our thanks to Bryce, Dr. Legutko, both of you did a phenomenal job. Thank you for all of the hard work that you've given us. We greatly appreciate it. And on that note, we will be adjourning this meeting. We have a workshop following that is timed for 6 p.m. So we're going to take about a 15-minute break following this meeting. Thank you.